Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Would everybody please be seated? And Billy DeFrank has notified us that masks are optional, but you still have to make sure you're vaccinated. Yay! And we have a lot of excitement going on in the back. Chris has brought in loads of things that she's donating free. If you want to make a donation to CCL, there's a vase back there that you can drop some coins or credit cards or cash or whatever you would like to. And we're going to start in it with an opening song. You might not want to record this until after he's done.
We just record it all, and then
Okay.
edit it. You all here? In the bowl there is a flower, in the seed an apple tree, in cocoons a hidden promise, butterflies will soon be free. In the cold and snow of winter, there's a spring that waits to be unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. There's a song in every silence, seeking word and melody. In the dawn for every darkness, bringing hope to you and me. From the past will come the future, what it brings a mystery, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. In our end is a beginning, in our time infinity, in our doubt there is believing, in our life eternity, in our death a resurrection, at the last a victory, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I think we forget that there's so many unseen promises, and flowers show us every May Day. Happy May Day to all of you. It's a beginning. I always think of May as a beginning of the new year, a lot more than New Year's Day.
And I always think of Jamie.
Yeah.
Hooray, hooray, it's the 1st of May.
Hooray, hooray, the 1st of May. And what was the rest of it?
You don't want to know.
Annie traveled with us over to England, and we had a guide, and Jamie was quite a character. He liked to drink his stout, and he liked to flirt with the girls, and he liked to show us a good time. And so he taught us a few little limericks, and May is the first of day is one of them. And if you want to know the rest, you have to talk to Annie. Reverend Ann is the keeper of the songs that we heard while we were going through Stonehenge and places like that. Well, welcome. Do we have any birthdays today or this week? Anybody have a birthday this week? No. I hear Corky over here talking. It's okay. We have a new duo. It's called the Maria Corky Show, or Corky Maria Show. Yay! Our wonderful Ed, who has been here with us since October, is finally deciding that he has a life outside of CCL on Sundays.
What?
Yeah, I know. With the weather being so beautiful, and he likes to hike, and he likes to watch the flowers grow and get outside. And he loves us dearly, I know, because he's told us repeatedly he does. It's not about that. It's about he needs some time where he can get outside and do things he wants to. Ed, you have done such an excellent job. Yay! Thank you so much. Some Sundays he has 5 women telling him what to do, and he's never lost his cool. Now that is an interesting man.
Siri. Maps. I'm used to Siri telling me what to do.
Siri started this, huh?
Siri started.
I bet your mother did, come to think of it, listening to a woman telling him what to do. But we so appreciate the time and energy, and hopefully you'll come back. This isn't your last day. Now for those on Zoom, if you're having any problems, direct it to Maria or Corky, because this is your training period, okay? So we want people to know who's behind the wheel, so to speak, okay? There's so many things that are coming up. I'm going to be here next Sunday for Mother's Day. And on the program, I hope does everybody have a program? If you don't, raise your hand and Emma will give you one. And because I'd like everybody who's a mother or everybody who's raised kids, you don't have to be female to raise kids. I'd like for you to come with your stories and your songs and the fun things that happened when you were being a mom, when you were helping train young people on who they should be and where they should be and what they should do. And if you ever were a child, bring that part of you too, okay? We'd like to have hear what the kids have to say about how they were mothered next week. The other thing that I want you all to notice is that the chair exercises this morning, led by Chris and Rebecca, were so good. They had you virtually sitting on the edge of your chair, didn't they? I mean, they did. And I was so glad to see Amanda doing them. How did it feel, Amanda?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? You think you could do it again next week?
I think so, yes.
Good. And Chris, you were so good with those in the circle that weren't quite doing it right. You didn't whack them with a ruler or anything. I'm so proud of you. You were very courteous and kind to everybody.
Dottie, what time does that start?
4:45, if not a little bit sooner. Yeah, it starts when Chris gets here and tells us to start. Yeah, okay? I love giving people power. If you've ever said, "Oh, Dottie, I don't know if I should," just do it. Report later if it works out. If it doesn't, nobody will know the difference, okay? So I love it when people take the reins. It really feels healthy and it really feels good. Anybody have any announcements they'd like to make? Oh, this is a quiet bunch. Yes, Chris.
Yeah, this morning we talked a little bit about Rebecca and me supporting you and Corky in your food and feeling good, and we don't have a date yet, but we're going to have a date, and people are going to be welcome and invited generally, I think.
Yeah, you're going to come to my house and we're going to cook, because he's going to show us, I don't know which one of you, both of you, Rebecca mainly, is going to show us how to cook vegan and healthy food. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for any of you who kind of want to look at your diet and change it around so it feels healthier, you can come over to our house, and before that we'll tell you what ingredients you can bring. And so it always helps if you have an ingredient you put into something. Many of you have heard me tell the story of the first church I started was the Church of the Chocolate Chip Cookie. And this was because I had foster kids, and they had never felt wanted. And so what we did every Wednesday night, we'd make chocolate chip cookies, and each person was in charge of an ingredient. And we realized very soon, if you didn't put in your ingredient, the cookies didn't taste as good. And that was the metaphor for life for these people, young people who were being badly treated in their growth. And so just think of it. Oh, I'm not guaranteeing we were going to be making chocolate chip cookies. I'm just saying that's how I got started in helping people cook to find their way to a place of serenity and quiet and calm. Okay, yes, Regina.
Aren't chocolate chip cookies vegan?
Yes.
They can be.
Depends on what you use for the oil.
If you don't use eggs or milk.
Yeah, but we could make vegan chocolate chip cookies, I'm sure. I don't, the dough just is to hold chocolate chip cookies anyway, so. Well, welcome Kathleen, come on in and have a seat. Kathleen is one of our newer students for the Universal Church of the Master. She has her licentiate, and she's going to be ordained when everything works out. We're going to get around to Thank you, Kathleen, for coming. Minister Kathleen, yeah. And I want to welcome Brianna. You haven't been here before. Thank you to our new location. You have been had spent a lot of time at the old CCL. For those of you who want to know, the CCL where we were is now, looks like a furniture, or it's what's it look like? Looks good.
They do designing.
Yeah, they design for homes and things like that. So it looks like it has a group there that feels good. I can tell because Chris is standing there looking at me that she has something to say.
I'd like to just...
You'd like to take their microphone, I bet. Come on up.
What a surprise.
I know. I'm just going to stand over here.
You bet. I just want to make a couple points about what's going on in the back of the room.
You're not having sex in the back of the room, are you?
Well, I'm not, but
Okay.
the silverware keeps,
Interfering.
multiplying. So I just wanted to say something about what is in the back of the room, because I mentioned it last week, but a lot of folks weren't here. It is definitely part of a journey of letting go. And so I am bringing my mother's attic to CCL for people to lovingly adopt something that really speaks to them. That's the best way to honor me. And given the story of my mother, it's a way to honor my mother. I want to turn you on to a book that, if this is of interest to anyone, this is a book called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. I know death isn't going to worry this group. And basically what it says is get rid of it before the people that come after you have to deal with what they don't know. So it's a concept. I actually got the concept 4 months ago, and it has been rolling fast and furiously. So what's in the back is great stuff from my mom. Some of them are antiques, and you're welcome to them. There is no charge. It is not a garage sale. However, a donation to CCL would be great. And just in case you didn't bring money, I have a little sheet I'm going to put back there that says CCL donation pledge. No need to bring a donation today. You may simply make the donation to CCL when convenient. Name, phone number, and optionally the dollar amount, just so Corky could track it. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for vicariously helping my mother. Thank you for helping CCL. Have a fabulous spring day.
Thank you. Oh, yay for spring cleaning. Woohoo! Yeah. How many of you felt that urge to get rid of unnecessary stuff? Yeah. I had a wonderful woman come.
I'm excited.
Yep. I had a wonderful woman come and help me. Her name's Chantel. Some of you know Chantel, and she came and helped me organize my house. And she is furious. I mean, she gets in there and she goes. We had bags of shred and bags of savers and bags of trash, and it was amazing. And I pick something up and kind of go, oh, and she says, have you used it this year? No. There she take it. Sometimes you need that. You need somebody that can help you weed the garden, as it were. So think about finding somebody to help you organize if you feel like I want to clean, but I can't. Okay? Oh, put your feet flat on the floor. Are really good. I want you all to close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. And as we go through this journey, feel a soft breeze across your face. Feel your body completely and totally relaxing. And follow the sound of my voice as we take a journey through a garden. And this is a garden of flowers. It's a garden of vegetables. It's a garden of fruit trees. And all of these are growing very comfortably together. And as you step into the garden, you walk through an archway that divides you between your space on the planet and into a dream world of inspiration. And with your first step, you realize that every time you put your foot down, you pick the other foot up, and little tiny bits of clover spring forth. You are making a path of clover into this garden. So next step, you pick up the other foot. Here's this wonderful, vibrant green of clover. The green of Ireland springs up underneath your foot. And walking down this path, you look at flowers in a different way. You realize they are living, breathing entities. And when you come to the roses, stop a minute and inhale their fragrance, just like the roses we have on our altar today after service. Inhale their fragrance. And as you keep walking, you find there's daisies. You stand there in a moment and look at the profusion of daisies, white ones and yellow ones. And you realize that what you're looking at is looking at the world that we live in. Because next, you come to snapdragons. And you marvel at the looks of them and the fact that they even look a little bit like a dragon. And then as you move forward, you find there's stalks of asparagus. What are they doing here? They belong here just as much as the flowers. They're part of God's improvement on our planet. They're part of the Creator. And as you keep walking forward, you come to a bunch of mushrooms. I don't know that mushrooms come in a bunch, but these do. They're all gathered around. And you can just imagine elves or gnomes sitting on the top of these mushrooms because they're big enough to do that. And as you keep walking down the field, you see black-eyed Susans. And you see mistletoe, which is usually grown in trees. But this time it's laying out on the ground, like it's saying, here I am, I represent love. Each flower, each vegetable, each fruit you see in your lap, walking on the garden, reminds you of healing, health, joy, beauty, and love. All of these beings that you're looking at represent people in your life. Think of it when you see the tomato plant. Does that remind you of somebody with bright red cheeks? Look at the string beans. Does that remind you of some person you know that's rather tall and slender? And when you get to the pumpkins, you have to think of somebody you know that's kind of dumpy and has a brown belly. And they're all growing together. And they're all different colors. And when you get to the end, you realize that you're not at the end of the path. You've made a circle. And you're at the beginning. Because life goes on. What you might feel is the end of your earthly garden becomes the very beginning of your spiritual garden. God, the Creator, loves each one of us and treats us like beams in a curtain, with love, sunshine, and energy. Take another deep breath. And when you're ready, come back to the room and open your eyes. Thank you, Tim. Well, our speaker today is Reverend Bea, and Reverend Bea Baechle is a member of the Universal Church of the Master and quite often an attendee here at the Center for Creative Living. And we're so glad to have her here because it's been a while. She is busy working a full-time job. Well, she thought it was part-time, but it's become full-time, as jobs do. She takes care of a house. She's a prolific hiker. She has kids to think about. Just the busiest person, like many of you are. And yet when we ask her, would you like to talk? She says, can I talk on May Day? And we said, certainly. So please welcome Reverend Bea Baechle. I'm just going to go right over here behind you.
Okay.
I want you to notice we have a clock here, and you have until 10.
Till the 10. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. That's lots of time. I'm not sure if I'll have that much. All
Hey,
right.
you know what? You can always dance.
That's true. We can do some of the things that I say that we want to do to raise our vibration. So happy May Day, everybody.
Happy
May Day. I brought flowers from my garden, and I love May Day. That's why I was so happy when I asked Dottie if this day was free to talk, and I just love this day, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But this May Day is a day that's rich with traditions and celebrations dating back to the Roman era, and most commonly symbolized by flowers. It's a time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere when, the air is warmer, the days are longer, and people are planting their flowers, and the perennials are coming out, and it's just a great time. And similar to what Dottie said before, for me, spiritually, I feel this is more of a new year. Kind of starting with Easter, I feel that's a time of rebirth, and the springtime. It always feels more joyously like new beginnings to me at this time. Because the beauty, the fragrance of flowers, the beauty of the trees blooming, all the leaves are back out. It reminds us that the divine feminine, you don't always have to be doing, because I do a lot. I have a lot of masculine energy where I'm out doing, but the feminine energy allows you to just be and to appreciate and let that beauty of nature permeate your being. So I'm excited to talk to you about two specific areas. I wanted to share a few of the traditions that are associated with May Day, and it goes back way to Roman times. But more importantly, I want to focus on leveraging that celebratory energy of joy and spring and new beginnings, and use that to help us remember how to lift our vibration, our own personal vibration, our own energy, and our own light. And I'll be sharing some of the ways that I do that, and I know that you all here probably have your own ways as well. The key point I want to make is that recognizing when you need to really lift yourself up, when you need to recognize when your energy isn't kind of where you'd like it to be, and if you're not vibrating at the pace that you'd like to. And so why am I focusing on that right now? Well, to be honest, since the start of the war, in Ukraine, I have found it personally very challenging to lift myself up above the feelings that are triggered for me around that unprovoked attack on the people of the Ukraine, and then the ripple effects that it's having all around the world. And I have to constantly remind myself to be aware of my own vibration so that I don't sink into that quicksand of sadness and grief and kind of spiraling fear and worry about, is there going to be a nuclear war, and is there going to be a loss of democracy? That's not helping anyone when I'm in that quicksand. So if somebody was stuck down in a well and they needed to be saved, we wouldn't jump down there with them unless we had someone up above with a rope, right? So I feel that for spiritual people, we can provide an energetic lifeline to the people in Ukraine and to everywhere in the world that needs it. And that's the power that we have. We're divine beings in a human body. And we have to remember that every day, that we have so much power energetically that we can do that. And when we raise our own vibration, we help everyone. So that energetically being strong, we have the power to channel that love, light, healing, and the desire for peace to those who need it the most at this time. But before talking about some of those ways of, raising your vibration, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the interesting, roots of May Day. And it goes back, some of the earliest celebrations in May are in Rome, and it was about 240 BC, so that's a long time ago.
Oh.
The festival was called Floralia, and it was held in honor of the goddess Flora, and she was the goddess of flowers, or of the flowering of plants. And Floralia was a 6-day celebration that was held kind of at the end of April through early May, that included dancing, theater, and floral wreaths similar to the ones that you see worn sometimes still to this day on modern May Day celebrations. And after the theatrical performances in Rome, remember, this is Rome, the celebration continued in the Circus Maximus with games and competitions, and they let rabbits and goats, let them run free, release them, and scattered beans and flowers, and this was all to ensure fertility. It's a springtime, so there was a big focus on fertility. There was another Roman celebration called Mayuma, and that was celebrated in May as early as the 2nd century AD. So now we're coming into, after Jesus' birth. And Dionysus, there was a festival about Dionysus and Aphrodite. And Dionysus is also known as Bacchus, in the Roman, I think Dionysus is Greek and Bacchus is Roman. And he was the god of the great harvest, winemaking, orchards and fruit, vegetation, fertility, religious ecstasy, festivity and theater, a lot of things in the ancient Greek religion and myths. And Aphrodite is the ancient Greek goddess of beauty and fertility and sexual love, and she's identified with Venus by the Romans. And during this time, when this festival, the Roman government literally set aside enough money for torches, lights, and other expenses to cover a 30-day festival of extravagant all-night revels, performances, and luxurious banquets. So it was quite raucous back then, being in the Roman centuries. Then, kind of setting ahead, if we're going fast forward to 900 AD, we start to look at Beltane and the Gaelic culture. And the evening of April 30th, which had been last night, would have been the celebration of Beltane, which is a pagan holiday. And that falls halfway between the spring equinox in March and the summer solstice in June. And let's see. That holiday, so it celebrates the spring at its peak and kind of the beginning looking forward to summer. So it's not just the spring equinox, it's kind of that feeling of summer. I know when I was young, I always felt like May was close to summer vacation, and that was always something I looked forward to. But Beltane is a festival that's often commemorated with bonfires and maypoles, dancing, and performing fertility rituals. So you can see kind of all through history, a lot of the same, celebrations are coming through in different areas. Beltane is a Celtic word that means the fires of Bel, and Bel likely referred to the Celtic sun god. And at that time, people would actually jump over a fire to feel like they were being purified and cleansed and to bring fertility. And then sometimes couples jumped over the fire themselves, to pledge themselves to one another. And then they often brought their cattle and their animals, were driven through the smoke as a protection from disease and to bring fertility. And that's interesting because, we do sometimes saging in different, you bring sage into the room to kind of clear the energy. They were doing this a long time ago, doing that with their animals and among themselves. And at the end of the Beltane festival, they had all the household fires would have been doused prior to that, and then they were relit from that main bonfire that was lit for Beltane for good luck and kind of representing new beginnings. Then there's a couple more, the Germanic traditions. There's something called Volporgus Night, and that's also on April 30th, and that's like Beltane, and that's a moon festival sacred to the goddess Freya. And Volporga being one of her names. We know her more as the goddess Freya. And I brought for anybody interested after the service, I brought my goddess deck, and I have a couple of cards there. There's one of Freya, there's Aphrodite. I even brought Ostera for Easter, and you're welcome to take a look at that after the service. But Freya, which is the name I know her more of, she's generally also known as a goddess of love and beauty in Norse mythology. But she was a lot more complex and interesting than that. She represents women's magic, sexuality, and independence, as well as in her darker aspects. She's a patron deity of war and death in battle.
That's a combination.
Yeah, and so she wears a cloak of falcon feathers and a magical gold necklace, and rides in a chariot pulled by cats with a sacred boar on her side. And I think I read in there she was naked under that cloak, Dottie. I thought you'd appreciate that. But she was quite powerful. And then, of course, you know how it is with most pagan traditions, Christianity has to, get in on the action. And the Christianity rededicated what was this Volporgus Night that was for the goddess Freya in honor of her. And they commemorated the official canonization of Saint Volporga on May 1st, and that was 870 AD. And then in later years, since the 18th century, many Roman Catholics have observed May and May Day with various May devotions to the Blessed Mother. And you'll see in works of art sometimes, or maybe if you go into a Catholic church, around May Day, she may have adorned her crown of flowers around her hair. So probably the best known modern day traditions observed in Europe and North America today, there's actually less. I was reading that a lot of these things are not, there's not as much as it used to be. And kind of in the pagan time in Europe, that there would be, on May Day, the whole town would be, have vines and things and flowers and stuff. There's maybe a little bit less of that, but it's still pretty popular, and maybe more so in Europe than in North America. But it was oftentimes the dancing around the maypole, not to be confused with pole dancing, but the maypole, it would be somebody holding, different women, usually women and girls, but it could be young boys too, each carrying a ribbon and going around and weaving, going around and around the maypole, and then weaving a beautiful design on the maypole. And the maypole dancing comes down, that's ancient, really, really ancient. And it's also dedicated to the goddess Freya, which again I like better than the Volporgus name, but the goddess Freya. And it represents the enormous ash tree that was the great world tree of Norse cosmetology. And I don't know how to pronounce this particular name, but I think it's Yggdrasil, but it's been around for a very long time. And I mentioned, why I think May Day for me, I have so many fond memories of it as a girl because my mom loved flowers. I remember her painstakingly, I grew up in the Midwest, it's cold until pretty much April. So in May is when you start to really plant your flowers, and she painstakingly planted her petunias and marigolds and every spring, and she just loved it. And when we were young, we used to do May baskets. I think, again, I read that that's kind of not as popular nowadays, but in grade school, we made little May baskets for our moms, and we would go out and pick. We had a beautiful lilac bush that was kind of overhanging the park, and we picked lilacs. And I don't know if there's lilacs in California. Are there?
Not too many.
Not too many, but I just, even to this day, when I smell that smell of lilacs, it reminds me of my mom. It brings back memories of love, and it's very wonderful. And, back then we used to say April showers bring May flowers. That's not as applicable here because, I hike very frequently here, and this is time of the year. It's so dry in California that many of the wildflowers are already starting to fade. There's not as many as there were like in the winter. So it's a little bit different. But I think that real appreciation of the newness of May, because I grew up in wintry cold weather, and I remember sometimes even once in May having a snowstorm. So I'm so happy. We're so grateful. I'm so grateful to be living here in this particular climate. And today, in terms of the fragrances, Amanda, I know that this is pertinent for you, but the fragrance is a big part of it. It's not just seeing the beauty of the flowers, it's being able to smell them. And we have, in my neighborhood, jasmine, gardenias, roses, and wisteria vines. And when I'm taking my walks, when I know that, not all flowers are fragrant, but when I know that they're fragrant, I make sure that I come and snip them and get that that kind of that uplifting feel. Again, it's kind of like that, again, the divine feminine thing of being able to let that beauty, whatever it is, what you smell or what you see in the world, to let it permeate your soul and really be able to shift you into a new vibration. So that's kind of my segue into how are some of the other ways that we can lift our vibration. And you can tell from what I've been sharing that a big way for me is to be able to be outdoors. Well, I'm going to say one thing, a little bit about, I want to talk maybe just a little bit more about vibration first, I think probably better. When I think of that, vibration is a state of being. It's the atmosphere or the energetic quality of a person, place, thought, or thing. And Albert Einstein taught us that everything is a vibration. Everything in life is a vibration. And everything in the universe is made up of molecules that vibrate at different rates and different speeds, and that includes trees and our bodies and animals and rocks. But really what's so important, our thoughts and our emotions, those are as real as this body here. Those are those things that really affect us. And human vibrations are composed of everything from physical matter to the way you communicate and the way you talk and the way you think. I think that's the critical one. Like I said, for me, I've really been working through some of that with what's been going on in the world. It's just I've got to shift my thinking and be hopeful and have faith that everything is in divine order. In kind of the simplest terms, the molecules vibrate faster and some vibrate slower, and some are higher vibrations and some are lower vibrations. So going back to kind of what I just kind of that segue into, for me, I'm a person to be able to go and walk outside and be in nature. I know that I'm someone that needs to move my body. I need to physically move my body. As Dottie mentioned, I went back to work and I can feel already that there's hours and hours that I'm in front of a computer, in front of like life-sucking kind of. I like the work that I do, but it's just being in front of a computer for that amount of time. It's really hard. So I'm someone that has to go out. I love to feel the sun on my skin with sunscreen on, of course. And I like my eyes to be able to take in the beauty. Like I said, I love to smell the fragrance. If I'm out in the woods, we have so much diversity here. You can be 1 hour, you can be deep in the redwoods and smell the redwoods and the eucalyptus, and then the next you can go another direction an hour and smell and see the beauty of the ocean. I can just tell you, I think it's amazing to be here. So anyway, I think if I spend just a couple of minutes mindfully away from technology, that can completely shift my mood and bring my vibration up. And yesterday, we were at the Mountain Winery up, it's up in the hills and it's a beautiful venue. So just even walking up there was beautiful, and they had salsa dancing. And just to be out, it was so much fun to be learning how to do some salsa moves, and when you're outside and the sun is shining. And so those things work for me almost inevitably. If I'm not feeling, if I need to raise my vibration, I got to move my body. And then, as I've mentioned several times how grateful I am. Gratitude is one of the quickest ways to amp up your vibration. And I want everyone to try this just for a second. If we all just kind of close our eyes for a minute, and everyone take a deep breath, and think of at least one thing, or many, of something that you're thankful for. Let's give you just a few seconds to do that. Life coach Tony Robbins said, you can't feel fear or anger when you're feeling gratitude at the same time. It's not possible. Did any of you feel your shift? Did anything, I don't know if any of you feeling like a low vibration, but if you can shift your attention to gratitude, it will transform your outlook on life anytime that you're feeling low. Another one, of course, that's so obvious, and that just we know that love is, another one of those super high vibration feelings. And I'd like to do the same thing again for just a second. Let's all close our eyes, take another deep breath, and think of a person or a pet or a spiritual being who is easy to love, and hold them in your heart. Let's do that for about 30 seconds. visualize that person or being in front of you and notice how you feel. A feeling of expansion, lightness, and happiness will take over your being. Love is one of the highest vibrating states of being and has the power to pull you out of the deepest of ditches. Attune your heart to love and your energy will soar. Another one, a good one, is generosity. Anytime that you're feeling stingy or greedy about anything, it doesn't have to be money, it could be love, it could be attention. Let's see. That can lower your vibration. Anytime you attach your happiness to something outside of yourself, it leaves you feeling the opposite of how you want to feel. So the antidote is to be generous. So whatever you want more of in your life, offer it up to someone else and see that if that shifts you. If you're feeling kind of tight with money, give a little bit of money to charity. If you're feeling lonely, make an effort to smile at a stranger or get yourself out just to be around someone and try to lift them up. If you feel like you don't have enough time, which sometimes is really my thing that I just struggle with, give your time to a good cause. And a few weeks ago, I went back to Second Harvest Food Bank. I hadn't been there since COVID, really, 2 years that I hadn't gone and packed food. And I was there, it was a 3-hour shift in the morning with a bunch of friends in a meetup. We packed 660 boxes of fresh fruit and vegetables. And it just felt amazing. I skipped my hike, Eddie, that day. I thought, okay, I'm not going to hike.
That's amazing.
But I'm going to go do this. And it was just really what I needed. And I needed something physical. I needed to be doing something. And again, it was all this stuff with the Ukraine. What can I do? I mean, I've given money. But it was wonderful to be able to feel like I was helping someone. Another area is, of course, meditation and breath work. This group knows all about meditation and breath work. I don't have to talk very much about it, but when you can train yourself to be present in the moment that you're in, you resonate more harmoniously with the truth. The past and the future are only in your mind. The only truth is now. So meditating and breathing mindfully also calms your nervous system, it improves your mood, and it brings about greater feelings of peace. Those are all high vibration qualities that will benefit your state of being. I remember a few years ago that there's even scientific evidence that with meditation, if you have a regular practice, you can even change the neural pathways of your brain. It's amazing how much proof or evidence is out there about how good it is to meditate. And on the internet or on YouTube, or there's dozens and dozens of books of how you can begin meditation. For me, sometimes I like just to kind of clear your chakras, I'll bring in light from above, but I always want to bring in the earth energy too, because we have to remember that we're spiritual beings in a human body, and sometimes I think spiritual people forget their human body. And so I always want to bring the earth energy in, that when I kind of view it as green and kind of intermingling the green and the white energy of God or the heavens is how I would consider it. And then the next one is forgiveness. And so I think everyone should have this emotional guidance scale that we passed out. Thank you so much for your help on that. But it basically, this is for those of you online on Zoom, it's the Abraham Hicks emotional guidance scale. You can Google it and find it. But one of these topics, one way to raise your vibration is forgiveness. And if you look on the scale, the left side are the things that kind of bring you up, bring your vibration up. And on the right side are the things that bring your vibration down. And if you look at blame, like if you can't forgive someone and look at blame, that's a very low energy. And I think that's number 15 out of what is considered 22. So if you can work towards forgiveness, you can release yourself of that weight around. If there's something you can't forgive, I would highly recommend to do an exercise around, or maybe a ritual around that, to be able to forgive someone. But I wanted to, as I was reading and looking at this scale, as I mentioned earlier on, how sometimes I was getting into the quicksand of, look at what's the worst one, fear. Fear, grief. Those were two things that I was feeling a lot of, and I, still have to struggle with the Ukraine piece, but those are powerlessness and victimhood. That's like the lowest vibration. And so no wonder I was feeling kind of like I needed to bring myself up, because I was really falling into some of that. The other thing that I know for me personally, I'm just kind of looking, and you all can take a look at this later and look at, be aware of things that maybe that you're more susceptible to. For me, I don't have, like hatred and rage. I'm not really angry, I don't think I have a lot of forgiveness issues. But number 11, overwhelm. It says overwhelmment. I can get pretty overwhelmed sometimes with everything going on in my life. So that's something I have to be aware of. And then frustration, sometimes impatience at work. That's another one that I need to work on. But look at all the beautiful ones that we've been, we're talking about up here. The first, joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. Those are all like on the highest. Then passion, enthusiasm, positive expectation, belief, optimism, hopefulness, contentment. Those are all high vibration emotions. I know we talked earlier about food. I heard that there's people here that are vegans, and eating high vibrational food is helpful too. I'm not personally a vegan, but I am trying to eat more plant-based food. But everything you consume is prana. It's a life force energy. If you eat a lot of kind of dead energy in the form of meat or fried food or processed food, that lowers your vibration. If we eat nutrient-dense, prana-rich foods, like we're in California. We have tons of local fruit and vegetables grown right here or shipped in from Mexico. We have a lot of that at our fingertips. Your body literally absorbs those things and making you more light, vibrant, and alive. I think high vibration food makes a person's vibration, lifts you up. Another one is just reducing or eliminating toxins in your body, and that includes alcohol. When I was reading about the Roman festivals and all the alcohol, I thought, wow, those people, they partied. But, alcohol's a depressant. It really, you might feel good initially, but it's a depressant. And if you want to be clear, spiritually connected, and have a healthy outlook on life, it serves you to reduce toxins, and alcohol's a toxin. I still enjoy a glass of wine with my meal. I enjoy a beer after a long hike. But my philosophy around it is that it's everything in moderation, and that I really want to try to just reduce it. I'm not sure if I'm at a point where I'm going to eliminate it, but certainly I'm aware of, hey, you can't have too much of this, especially as I've gotten older. Your bodies can't process it. Another area, of course, is thinking positive thoughts. What you think about, you become. This is, again, it's not just our bodies, it's our thinking. Every thought we have creates our future. And if our thoughts are pessimistic or overly anxious, which I had been getting into, the worry, you'll find that, you'll find what you're looking for. If you're too, you're going to end up drawing that to you. Just as gratitude draws the same thing, gratitude brings in the high vibrations. If you're kind of in some of those lower vibrations on that right-hand side of that picture, that's what you're going to draw in. Some of the Abraham Hicks material says that you need to be diligent about what thoughts that you give your attention to. It's because it can take only 17 seconds for a thought to attract another one like it and activate the law of attraction. So remember, it goes either way. It can be good or it can be bad as well. So push away any negative energy and choose positive thoughts to stay positive. And that includes, consuming social media, TV, music. There's great things on television and great music, but there's also a lot of that darker stuff. So if you can keep that, in line, then I think you're good. I'm just checking on my time here. Oh, almost time. So, and I've mentioned a lot about surrounding yourself with beauty. I do that outdoors, and I'm fortunate in my home. I have ample light, and that makes a big shift. It shifts my energy, and it impacts me as well. And then, the other thing that's so important for groups like this and organizations like this is being around relationships that are high vibrational. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you up rather than drag you down. Spend time with people that make you feel better about yourself. People who believe in you and who are interested in resonating at a high frequency, just like you are. So, it can be tempting to succumb to some of that feeling of helplessness with what's going on in the planet. But channeling your efforts into raising your energetic frequency is one of the best gifts that you can give the world. When you lift yourself up, you bring others with you. And although we're responsible for lifting our own vibration, I also believe in the power of prayer. And at this time, our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine and other places need our help to raise their vibration and consciousness. Can you imagine if you put yourself in their shoes? Everything that I've mentioned, all the things that we can do to lift our vibration, how would we feel if we were in war-torn cities with corpses on the street and lack of food and families being separated? There's 5 million refugees have left Ukraine. 5 million. So raise up our energy so that we can share and channel that. We are here today, beautiful sunny California, with an abundance of warm weather and fresh fruits and vegetables to eat. We have roofs over our head. Let's tap into our reservoirs of gratitude, love, and joy, and see that light touching the hearts of those who need it so badly at this point. And in the honor of May Day and Beltane, be sure to light a little fire. If you can't do a bonfire anywhere tonight, light a candle to bless the months ahead and connect with your folklore of the past that we all share, no matter what your ethnic background is. So thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so very much. And for those of you who have watched the news, there's a lot of places who utilize this time to show war, for May Day, where they are parading tanks and that, coming from the same goddess. Isn't that interesting? Where we are taking the hope and beauty, but there's other places where they turned it around and worship war. So please, when you see something that's showing negativity, say, hey, that's just the other side of the coin. I can look at it in a positive way. And speaking in a positive way, our wonderful Reverend Ann is going to be, and would anybody like to help her pass the basket? Do we have any volunteer? Aha. Okay, Annie, I think you're on your own. Sorry. There's Lonnie who's going to help. Thank you, Reverend Lonnie. Lonnie made the coffee today. Thank you, Lonnie. If you haven't grabbed a cup of coffee, please do. And after we're closed the service today, get a cup of coffee, sit, talk to some people, and go shopping in the back. Okay. This is always such a wonderful gift when people bring things in. And like the times that Rebecca has brought in food, and people have brought in things to donate. Please know this is your center. You can come here bringing anything you want, and feel free to take the food that has been donated by Trader Joe's. That's back there on the green tablecloths. Our great Gabrielle from the Billy DeFrank Center picks it up for us every Sunday morning and brings it here and puts it out on the table. So please make sure you take something home that says, I visited CCL today. Okay, we'd love to have you do that. And any other things that we want to do this week, put it kind of behind you, and instead of worrying about, like our wonderful Bea was saying, instead of worrying, giving worry to the universe does not help it heal. So every time you say, oh no, stop and say, is there something I can do to help? And if there's not something you can do to help, stop worrying. That's the biggest thing you can do, is putting worry into the atmosphere and into the energies of who we are. And now that we have Corbin and up here, isn't this tricky? I'm going to have her do the closing prayer.
Can we please first do our blessing of the basket?
Blessing of the basket. Okay.
Is that prayer? Does that have any prayer request? Or is that one that you?
Yeah. Okay. You all should have a program. Pick up your program, turn it to the back, and we're going to read Giving to the
ministry, from which we receive our spiritual support and nurturing, is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that spirit is the prospering power enriching every area of our lives.
And so it is. Thank you. And
okay.
Here we go.
I'm on.
Oh, you're on. I know. And I'm not completely off. I see by the camera that they followed me. And before you start, who's on Zoom this morning, Corky?
We have your son and daughter.
Whoa, Mom!
Matthew and Christine.
Donna Christensen, Lynn and Chin Lee, Joyce and Patty, Laura, Martha, and Scott.
Wow.
Welcome everybody on Zoom. Thank you for
So
being
listen,
here.
look at the people that you went out on the airwaves to, you know, the video waves, as it were. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Gosh, I don't know where I'm everywhere today. Thank you, Bea, for your beautiful talk. Thank you for your...
You're fine.
Oh, I'm right here? Thank you. Oh, blessed be. Are you sure? Let's all close our eyes and take a nice deep breath in. Let's breathe in that beauty and that joy and the wonderfulness of May Day and flowers blooming everywhere. We hold on to that love and that gratitude, and we breathe out, letting go of anything that's troubling us at this point in time. Because we know that as we give love, love spreads. As we give energy, energy spreads. As we give gratitude, gratitude spreads. And I say to our Mother, Father, God, and our dearest Creator, thank you for this day, and thank you for our lives, and thank you for this wonderful moment for us to be together here, both virtually and in person. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize that we are all one, and that we, as human spiritual beings in a human experience, that we are all connected to one another. And we recognize that we can be strength at a distance. We can be forgiveness at a distance, because we are all connected. As we go out into this wonderful week, and we know that we are blessed with the opportunity to look into somebody's eyes and smile. We know that we are blessed with this opportunity to say hello. We're blessed with an opportunity to give and to share and to take care of ourselves, because self-care is a very, very important thing. We give thanks for just a wonderful opportunity to be here, as Bea had said, here in wonderful California, where we have beautiful plant life and so on. And Creator, for those that are having some struggles right now, that are having, issues that they don't know how to resolve, send them some peace in their heart. Help them to know that you are there to help them find their resolution. Because we know that we are a gift, and we know that you are our gift as you hold us together and stand behind us all the time. In deep, deep gratitude, we always say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessed be, so it is, and amen.
And Tim, would you like to play a little bit more for us as we're closing?
Sure.
And I want to thank Tim Morrow so much for stepping in. There was a song that you wanted to play, and you were afraid because it was copyrighted that you couldn't.
The one I already did.
Oh, the one you already did. Well, great. Well, now it's up to you. Anything you want to do here, Holly. And I just want you to just take the time to think of, what does music do? Isn't it almost like flowers with a voice? Okay, music is one of those things that calms us down. It feeds us, and it's fantastic to have. So Tim was not ready for this, so I bet you he comes through. We'll see.
There is no better place than here, no better time than now. To start a new experience beyond any everything you've known before. The best is yet to come. Just look within and feel it in your heart, and let your greater good overflow. We all have our past, we've all made our own mistakes. But when we let them be lessons, they help us move forward and know the best is yet to come. Just look within and feel it in your heart, and let your greater good overflow. We all have our visions, we all have our goals and dreams. They are the great divine urge when we believe and let them grow. The best is yet to come. Just look within and feel it in your heart, and let your greater good overflow. The best is yet to come. Just look within and feel it in your heart, and let your greater good overflow. Let your greater good overflow. Hands, do you like it?
I really like it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. It's been a wonderful morning. Hopefully you have a beautiful day. And don't forget, thank the flowers. Pretty.
Thank you.